How are we all doing? How happy can we be on a Victory Friday? Victory Friday. How many Victory Fridays have we had as Cleveland Browns fans? How often do we get a Victory Friday moment to celebrate? You know, these night games are kind of rare. They're kind of special. Rare and special. Also, rare and special are how the Cleveland Browns playoff appearances have been lately, especially as of late. We have not been a juggernaut, so to speak. We have not been consistently talented. We have not been dominant. We have not been competitive. And we have not been, the Cleveland Browns have not been a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I mean, look, we could have done some damage in 2007 with Derek Anderson and that team. Who else was on that team? Kellen Winslow. Braylon Edwards. That 07 team, I believe that was 07. They were good. 2002, I mean, Tim Couch. What was that? Kelly Holcomb. Oh, geez. Who's a receiver? It popped off of not Derek Anderson. Kevin Johnson, I believe. Okay, the 2020 Cleveland Browns were really good. But were they? I mean, they let a backup in Kansas City knock us out. We could have been in the AFC Championship game, but those past 3 years, I mean, there have been problems at quarterback with Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson. There have been defensive issues with Joe Woods for two and a half years. He shouldn't have been a coach. Really sabotaged a couple of playoff opportunities in the past 2 years. Special teams with Mike Prefer were atrocious. A lot of these things have been fixed. The Browns have arguably the number one defense right now. And we went against a Jets team yesterday that allegedly had the number 3 defense. But first quarter, Flacco flacked him up. Good time. Good time, big time. Goodly. Bigly. All right, real quick, if you're watching on the New American Media, thank you so much. This is not one of our regular episodes of the Agree to Disagree show. If you do watch that show regularly, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, thank you so much. This is going to be an episode of The Unhappy Hour here on the New American Media because the old American media failed you. This is where we discuss the Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes, and really all things sports. Yeah, I know I still call them the Indians or the tribe. I don't like the G word. I don't like what happened. I don't like celebrating woke. To stay in the Cleveland baseball theme, the woke culture just takes scalps and holds them up like, look what we canceled, and they hang it up on the wall. Look at that. We scalped something. Again, we destroyed something. Aunt Jemima. The Kansas City Chiefs are fine, or the Atlanta Braves are fine, but no, you got to go after the Cleveland Indians. Named after Louis Sock Alexis, by the way, who broke the Native American color barrier, race barrier in Major League Baseball. Anyway, I digress, but thank you for watching today's episode. Today is a super special one. I had a chance to go to the game. Special thanks to Jason out there. Jason, what happened here? I guess we went small screen. Okay, cool. Let me see if I can pull. If you have any comments, leave your comments. I would love to add some of your thoughts and commentary. If you have any questions, type them. I don't know. I don't know how many people are watching live, but if you have something that you can type either on YouTube or X or Facebook, just type it and I'll see if I might be able to add it into the program. But once again, the Cleveland Browns are proving that they are a team of destiny. Yes, a team of destiny. Beat the Jets yesterday. Fairly convincing game. The energy downtown was big. It was hype. Hotels were sold out. Streets were packed. Browns jerseys and hats everywhere. But let me tell you about the hats real quick. I had 4 layers on, and I took out those special extra warm wool socks that you maybe don't wear all the time, but you got to have a couple pair for moments like this. You don't want to have cold feet down at the stadium. But maybe that was in years past. Maybe this global warming thing, this fantastic global warming, I'll take it. I remember back in geez, what was that? 04, 05? Must have been 04 or 05. Probably the end of 04. There was a Browns-Chargers game. And brought some beers in with me in, big coat and whatnot. Cracked the beer, took a sip, and over top of it, it all coagulated, like it all crystallized. It went from liquid to frozen. I watched it happen in front of me as I took a sip. The only thing keeping it liquid form was the fact that I didn't expose it to the temperature. It was so cold. Weather so cold, it turned the beer to slush, it did. When that was done, so I had to hurry up and finish that, then went to go get one at the concession stand. They went like this. Pulled the lever. Nothing. The taps, and then they kind of go. Taps froze. So the kegs were frozen. I mean, remember when the Browns had their 0-16 parade and it was 0 degrees with a -16 wind chill? Oh, I remember. We did a documentary called Football Equals Family, the story of the Cleveland Browns' perfect winless season parade. Check it out. It's on YouTube. So the fact that yesterday was in the mid-40s, it's a night game. Perfect weather. It had been drizzling off and on throughout the day. I was kind of worried that it was going to be it had the potential to be a wet one. I did see Joe Flacco kind of eat turf, at least on one occasion. You could see the field was a little slippery, a little wet. But the conditions overall were fantastic yesterday. Just such a great opportunity for the Cleveland Browns, who have now set a home win record with 8 wins. 8-1 at home this year. 8-1. Just, Cleveland, this is for you. Cleveland, you deserve this. You have been through hell and back as a franchise since 1995, when Art Modell couldn't pay his bills, screwed up his business so bad that he had to turn his back on everything that he had built. They say reputation's such a strange thing. It takes a lifetime to earn your reputation, and it can be lost in a second. Art Modell, for all the goodwill he had built up over the years, all the great teams that he had fielded, some of the TV rights issues and some of the other NFL business stuff that he kind of helped spearhead from his time as the Cleveland Browns owner, all he's remembered for is, for one, never going into a Super Bowl or never winning a Super Bowl, and for stealing the Cleveland Browns. But since 1995, when that team was taken from us, it's been hell as a fan. I grew up watching really talented Cleveland Browns teams. We're talking the AFC Championship, the drive, the fumble, Bernie Kosar AFC Championship games against the Denver Broncos. If not for calling the kick wide and the Browns advance in that one, one play here, one play there, we could have easily been to a Super Bowl and or won a Super Bowl, if not multiple. But it wasn't in the cards any more than the Buffalo Bills with Scott Norwood going wide right. But those are the teams I grew up on. Resilient, gutsy, tough teams. And I'll tell you, you've never seen a gutsier, tougher team in Cleveland wearing the Cleveland Browns orange and brown and white. It was a whiteout yesterday. By the way, if you want a full whiteout, come on, get in your game. Get in the game. Figure it out. Browns PR department, figure it out. If you really want a whiteout, that is when you go all out. You get 3 sponsors. Ooh, Discount Drug Mart saves me the runaround. You'll find everything you need. Get a beanie. Get a white Browns beanie so that everybody can get a free beanie to put on your head. White. Oh, here's a long white sleeve double X shirt on everybody's seat. I went to a Cavs game where they did that, the Cavaliers game. Did you hear when I said Cavs, like the word didn't come out? Because we got a cool poster yesterday. It was like Japanimation style. It was like a dog fighting a jet, like Transformer style. Really cool poster. We missed them. They were out when we got there, but we ran into some girl going up the zigzagging to get upstairs. And she had a stack of them. I'm like, hey, can I get one of those? And my buddy Kern got 2 of them for his niece and nephew, which was super cool. What was the point of me going there? Anyway, we have had really tough teams, really good teams. Otto Graham, NFL championships, Jim Brown, Brian Sipe, Bernie Kosar, of course. But this Brown season is epic. This Brown season is special. Leave your comments in the wherever you're watching it. Like the thing, hit some hearts or whatever you have, thumbs up or hearts. Comment. Let me see where you're watching from. Please comment. Let me know where you're watching from. I will take any of your questions that I can see. This should allegedly be streaming to about 8 different places on Facebook, on X, on YouTube. So I'd love to incorporate your comments and questions into the show. But this Cleveland Browns 2023 team is the type of team that has the it factor. This is the type of team that could easily win a Super Bowl. Now, we've had injuries on special teams. I was going to say on all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams, we are enough to scare the crap out of any other team. And if another team's not going to be scared, that's fine. I don't need someone to be scared. I don't need to be respected. But the fact of the matter is our defense can stop anybody. Our offense can score on anybody. That's all you need. We do have injuries to Corey Bojorquez at punter and Dustin Hopkins, who was just a couple points away from setting a Cleveland Browns all-time scoring record. I think he was just 5 points shy, maybe 5 or 6 points shy of surpassing Jim Brown. But unfortunately, just like the Baker Mayfield interception on the Anthony Schwartz wrongly run pass, and when he tried to make the tackle, he blew out his shoulder, and it derailed his season, the Browns season, his career. The whole trajectory changed because of one bad play and then Baker's reaction to it, which, you appreciate the hustle of trying to go stop the play, make the tackle. But Dustin Hopkins responding to that 98-yard touchdown by Damian Pierce, I believe, kickoff return. If we would have just tackled him at the 20 or 30, that never happens. We have a healthy kicker. But what I'm saying is we have what it takes. Offense, defense, and special teams. We have what it takes to be one of those sports movies, the Hoosiers, Bad News Bears. Come on, pick hockey, baseball, football, basketball, whatever your favorite genre is. Think of one of your favorite movies where the team comes together against all odds. The ragtag bunch, the injury-riddled crew, next man up mentality, tough as nails, gets it done, gives you some sort of inspiration, some sort of hope and promise, and breaking the damn curse and breaking the negative vibes that have been around this damn team since Art Modell took it away from us at the height of the Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, Carlos Baerga, Sandy Alomar days of late 90s, mid 90s classic baseball teams. The Cleveland Browns have been hurting us pretty much nonstop. And it was tough because the Baker Mayfield season, the playoff season, we beat Pittsburgh back to back. On the road, retired little Ben Roethlisberger, crying on the sidelines. That was supposed to be the team of destiny. That was supposed to be the quarterback to get it done in my heart of hearts. It not on this dimension. I don't know. Maybe CERN say, how did we end up in a parallel dimension? I've talked before about how I believe that it's possible. Yeah, let me go woo-woo for a second. But I believe that it's possible that LeBron James and his Illuminati stuff, summoning the dark arts, allowed the Cavs to come back from a 3-1 deficit and beat the best regular season team of all time, the Golden State Warriors, with 73 wins. But we entered a different timeline because of that, because then the Cleveland Indians were supposed to beat the Chicago Cubs. They were up 3-1, and instead the Cubs came back from a 1-3 deficit. So in this parallel dimension of mine, Cavs did not win that title, and the Indians did. And the Browns on a parallel timeline, a parallel dimension, alternate reality, alternate dimension through the vortex. Maybe they found a way. Mayor Mike White found a way to work with Art Modell. He was salty that he wasn't getting a stadium deal, and he took his talents to Baltimore, and it sucked. But the fact of the matter is we've had a couple of highlight seasons, 02, 07, 2020. But in 2020, that Baker-led team that was one Hollywood Higgins helmet-to-helmet hit from Dirty Dan Sorensen away. That should have been a 7-point touchdown instead of a helmet-to-helmet collision that caused a touchback fumble through the end zone. That's how close we were to going to the AFC Championship game against the young Bills, who we could have beaten. And then you would have had the epic NFL script. Remember, people say that there's an NFL script. I'm not saying I believe it, but I'm just saying people say it. I am saying that all this gambling is really called into question, poor officiating in a way that Tim Donaghy would even blush at. We'll see when this tell-all comes out. I will firmly predict a RICO investigation with boatloads of billions of dollars transferring hands by point shaving and rigging the outcome of games. Some phantom holding calls, some phantom pass interference calls. That's really all it takes is a couple of those to doom a couple drives and to extend a couple drives. You know, you can swing a game by 6 points, 14 points, 17 points pretty easily. But that team in 2020, the point I'm trying to get to is you were robbed as Browns fans because there weren't people in the stands. And that was what Jim Donovan, famously said. He's like, in this magical season, going to the playoffs, the only thing missing is you. There were a couple thousand people in the stands, but it kind of felt like a scrimmage or a dress rehearsal. It wasn't fair to the people of Cleveland. It wasn't fair to the fans. To witness, to bring back LeBron James, to witness greatness. But having had a chance to attend the game yesterday, I'm glad I did. I mean, definitely. I mean, it's an endeavor. It's a lot of driving. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to make that happen. But to be there in the room when they clinched, when the Browns punched their playoff ticket, it's a special moment. And so the great weather made it special. It wasn't 0 degrees, -16 wind chill, frozen beer kegs. Thank God. That was beautiful. Then there was the Nick Chubb. He was the special guest. Did the thing the Browns do now is the guitar smash. They smash a guitar on a guitar amp. Kind of kick up all the smoke and steam and, get the crowd fired up. This is our pregame ritual. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's kind of lame. You see what Minnesota's doing for the Vikings, and it's like, woo, that is an intimidating, like the whole stadium in unison participating. Ooh, that's nice. I like that one. If there's a better pregame ritual for a NFL team, please let me know. Leave it in the comments. But Nick Chubb walking on his own, I mean, after that brutal knee injury, I really wish. It just makes me sad knowing Nick Chubb can't be on the field helping us win these games. But I'll tell you what, Jerome Ford did his best Nick Chubb impersonation yesterday. Man, he would not be denied. And I'll get to that in a second. Click like, hit the hearts thing or the 100 thing or the thumbs up, whatever you're watching on. Leave some comments. Subscribe to the channels, please. On Spotify, our podcast is called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. On X, we're at The Unhappy Hour _. And on YouTube, we're do a search for The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, please. But it was really cool. We had a couple of delays getting into the stadium. And so as we were coming in, like the lights had already dimmed. We had just missed the Nick Chubb thing. And maybe I'll show you a couple of highlights real quick once I go through the rundown of what we have here, kind of the play-by-play, how the game ended up playing out. But when we got there, the lights were down and everybody's cell phones were flashing. It was making this. It was a really neat scene. And they announced the defense. to come out. Really the heart and soul of this team. But man, if the Browns don't look good with Joe Flacco under center, I mean, it's the best quarterback play we've had since Baker Mayfield when he was healthy, that second half of that season on that playoff run. His injury, he wasn't the same player the next year. I don't know. Some of you want to judge him on that and say the Browns made the right call. All day long, wherever I was when it came up, and it actually came up quite a bit, Browns fans are still upset with how Baker was treated. And I say that because I was actually I was just gifted for Christmas a Baker Mayfield white jersey. It's the only white thing I have with the Browns. I didn't even own it. I didn't buy it. It was handed to me. And so I was, well, I guess I'll wear it because it's a whiteout. But the issue came up many times. So anyway, that aside, Joe Flacco is probably playing the best ball of his career. We know when he went on that playoff run to win the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP, no interceptions and a whole bunch of touchdowns and really tough come from behind wins. He was epic, and he's epic now. It seems like every game there's at least one bad turnover, and the Browns definitely had a couple of those this game. At least one of those, once again, was because of Flacco. And the one pop-up with Elijah Moore where he tipped it to himself, or the DB could have had it and it bounced off, and then Elijah Moore grabbed it. It could have been worse, but the Browns just dominated the game yesterday. It was really never in doubt. But it is a special season. It is a special team. This team is exercising demons. And, to have 60-some thousand people, I don't know the capacity now. I think it's about roughly 20 grand less than the 80-something thousand that they used to have down at the Cleveland Municipal Stadium back in the day, in the mid-90s where they played. There's a lot of parents and uncles getting to have memories with their niece or nephew or their kid or their brother or their sister, like the family component. I did that documentary called Football Equals Family because football is family, and it connects a region. It connects the great state of Ohio. By the way, if you want some of these, just send me a message. I will mail some out to you. So I have these, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show coasters, a set of 4. I think they're $30. And then I have them in this shape as well with the Unhappy Hour logo. So if you want one, let me know. Also, if you want one of these limited edition, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show pins, I believe these are $25. And I will get that out to you as well. We got cool merch. I'm going to have to tag each and every one of you because I'm convinced most of you don't even see most of the content that I put out. But such is the fate of the social media these days. But all of the fans and friends, I got to take a friend, Kern, with me, 2 Brians. I've known him since Bowling Green days back in college. And through mutual friends, we've gone to countless games together. A lot of losses over the years. But this is a win. This is a big win. So these new memories are being built. It's just been starvation of these legacy building memories. And yesterday, setting a record for the most home wins, that's big. Clinching at least the 5 seed is huge. By the way, the Browns do have a chance to win the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. Here's how we do it. First off, we need Baltimore to lose their next 2 games. So the first game is going to be against Miami this week. Then we need Miami to lose to the Bills in the final week, and we need to beat the Bengals in the final week. There's a few things that need to happen, but look, we're one game, we finished ours, but then the rest of the league plays this weekend. Down to the last 2 weeks of the season, and we have a chance to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Bravo. I've been very harsh on Browns general manager Andrew Berry, on Kevin Stefanski for how they handled Baker Mayfield's situation, how they wouldn't step up and be the adults in the room and bench him to protect himself and get Case Keenum behind center, and we could have made the playoffs if they would have just done that. Baker clearly wasn't the same playing with one arm. Oh, it wasn't his throwing arm. They're attached. If you've had a labrum tear, you can't do it. They should have known better. But they're young and dumb. They're young kids. I'm talking about the coaches and Andrew Berry as well. Stefanski, Berry, they've grown. And look, Baker's grown as well. Hopefully he can close out a strong season. I'm still pulling for the kid down in Tampa. They're in first place right now, playing the Saints this weekend. Really big game. I don't know if they can clinch with a win, but 2 games left, just win out. He's had an incredible month. But I've been very quick to criticize the moves from the Browns front office and from the coaching staff. But look, let's just face it. There is one coach of the year, and it is Kevin Stefanski. Nobody has dealt with the amount of injuries that the Browns have. Starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Starting running back, Nicholas Jamal Chubb. I mean, geez, Elijah Moore was injured yesterday. Amari Cooper had a bad ankle or a bad heel, I believe. He tried to play, but it was too painful. He had to get scratched. Donovan Peoples-Jones got traded a few games ago. So our 1, 2, 3 receivers were out, by roughly around the midpoint of yesterday's game. We've won, is it multiple games with 4 quarterbacks? I don't know if each quarterback is what. I know Flacco's won more than one. Watson has won more than one. PJ Watson has won more than one. I know technically he didn't start that game in Indianapolis, but he played it at everything but the first 2 series. I don't know if DTR won twice, but we've had 4 quarterbacks get us wins. I guess that happened in 2008 or something with the Houston Texans. Brian Hoyer was a part of that quadfecta. What do you call a trifecta that's 4? The fourfecta? The Ford Focus? It's just kind of unheard of. You don't normally end up with 11 wins when you've had to play 4 quarterbacks. But both of our tackles are down. Jed Wills on the left, Jack Conklin on the right. DeJuan Jones, our other backup tackle, out. I mean, thankfully, we do have Posick at center. We have our 2 guards, Batonio and Teller. But those tackle positions have been rough all year, and a lot of defensive injuries as well. Players in and out. Miles and Denzel and Thornhill, and go down the list. There's been a lot of injuries over there. Anthony Walker. Kevin Stefanski is the coach of the year, hands down. Assistant coach of the year or defensive coach of the year, however you want to technically call it, Jim Schwartz, how he's turned around this Cleveland defense. I mean, they are good. They get the job done. They wreak havoc on the other teams. And, yes, there are some new additions, but we've been talented for 3-4 years. Joe Woods burned those opportunities. And once again, Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski they made big mistakes by keeping Joe Woods. And so the fact that they got rid of Woods, they replaced him with Schwartz, who's very competent. They fixed the special teams now, getting rid of Prefer, going with Bubba Ventrone, and now with a backup punter and a backup kicker. I mean, they have been so upgraded. They have been so resilient this year. And you have to credit Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry and Jim Schwartz just across the board. Now, defensive player of the year, anybody who knows about football knows about the Pro Football Focus grades, the PFF grades. Anyone who listens to the commentators, anyone who listens to the pundits that really know what they're talking about. Myles Garrett is an absolute Tasmanian devil on the field. He is your defensive player of the year. I've seen the stats because 3 of the Browns' 4 cornerbacks are rated number 1, number 3, and number 4, I believe, in their rankings. And I've seen where it's like when Denzel Ward is healthy and in the game, the Browns are just untouchable. When he's out, they take a significant hit. So he might be really the MVP, but in all reality, it's time for Myles to get a crown. Oh, well, he swung a helmet. They got caught up in the heat of the moment. And by the way, Miles was getting charged by 3 people. That crazy frothing quarterback from the Squealers. Jeez, I was going to say Mitch Trubisky, the other guy, Mason Rudolph, and at least 2 of the linemen. And as he was moving backward, he swung back, backpedaling. He was not the aggressor at that point, but he was being attacked by 3 people and he swung. Not a good look. Really dumb, right? Okay, fine. But I mean, aren't we all allowed to have a bad look from time to time? I've never met a perfect human. Have you? Never rooted for a perfect team? You get the point. I'm not going to drag this analogy out, but it's time to give Miles his due. He's been a fantastic player, and really, the NFL really should be ashamed of themselves for how they're officiating. Myles Garrett, they're effectively going into the hack-a-shack philosophy. It's hack-a-miles, but they're not calling it. I know that's not a perfect analogy either, because in hack-a-shack, they knew you couldn't stop Shaq. He'd just dunk it. He had a million ways to score from the post. It wasn't all dunks, but actually had a nice sky hook and mid-range jumper got okay, some up and unders. So they just figured, look, we're gonna hack him every time and put him at the free throw line because he's gonna miss 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 free throws. So they play the math and go, all right, we'll put him on the line every damn time. That's a win for us. But the NFL really has to do a better job calling the obvious holding plays on Myles Garrett. He's getting double teamed and he's still beating him. He's just an absolute game wrecker. I think you're looking at your player of the year, and the NFL should do the right thing and crown him. He's earned it. He hasn't had a moment like that since that bad Steelers moment. By all accounts, he's been a stand-up guy and a stand-up player, and he had a regrettable moment. Don't penalize him his entire career for this, okay? That also brings me to comeback player of the year. There's, two games in the season. Browns obviously just played this one with the Jets. So I think it's down to 3 players. You give it to Devon, except I looked him up, and it looks like he only has 2 solo tackles on the season. He almost never gets into the game or plays any significant minutes. I get that he had a medical issue. He essentially died on the field, and they brought him back. And the fact that he survived and he was able to get back to healthy and get back to the roster and stay on the team, that's commendable. Bravo. But in my mind, that doesn't really make him the comeback player of the year because he's not playing. Because he's just not playing. If the NFL wants to create a special award, it's a special award. Fragile. The NFL wants to create a special award just for players who overcame the most daunting physical setbacks, health setbacks, injury setbacks. I mean, name it after Damar Hamlin. Name it after Damar Hamlin if you want. But when you're talking about the players that have come back, I mean, Baker Mayfield was left for dead. He really was. Man, if I didn't have people say, oh, he'll be lucky to be in the league. He'll be lucky to be a backup. Well, he's leading a number 1 team down there in Tampa. And for the past month, he hasn't thrown a single interception. He's like 8 or 11 touchdowns or something. The Buccaneers are playing very well, despite the fact they have no running game or offensive line. He's still getting it done. And Joe Flacco. Those are the only 2. It's Baker and Flacco. What do they have in common? Kevin Stefanski, the coach of the year. Let's give Kevin Stefanski some props. I will critique when it's appropriate. I will kudos when it's appropriate. I'm not feast or famine. It's not all or nothing. I've had plenty of very public, very obvious gripes with Stefanski, but look, he coached both of them. And so Joe Flacco, even when Aaron Rodgers went down week 1, drive 1, 3 plays in, I think, Achilles out for the season. I think Joe Flacco kind of just assumed he was going to be getting a call from the Jets to go back. That's where he played. They didn't want him back. They figured Sam Darnold was a better option. And what's his nuts? The BYU quarterback. Why can't I think of his name? Well, I think he's going to be out of the league anyway. But that's who the Jets went with. Oh, gosh, I can see the guy, and I just keep thinking Sam Darnold. Oh, it's going to bug me. Zach Wilson. There we go. Jeez. Yeah, not Sam Darnold. I got Darnold on the brain. I mean, if I have to listen to some pundit discussing the Cleveland Browns and say Joe Flacco was on the coach, yeah. Isn't there any other way to say it? He was doing daddy daycare. He was picking up his kids from school, and he was just Joe Schmo. He was out of the league for all intents and purposes, and it took this injury to, 3 of the Browns quarterbacks. Look, 2 of the 4 are on injured reserve, done for the year. Deshaun Watson and now Dorian Thompson-Robinson, our true number 2 backup, is out. He has a hip injury. He's out for all of it. We just signed somebody on the practice squad as well. I forget who that was. Let's just hope we don't have to deal with that. Because Flacco is legit. Flacco is getting it done. Flacco is moving the ball on anybody. He's putting up a lot of points. He can take us to the Super Bowl. I firmly believe that the Browns can win a Super Bowl with this defense, this special teams, and this offense. But Flacco, has got to be considered for comeback player of the year. One of the biggest knocks. So, look, the pro and the con of saying comeback player of the year for DeMar. Number one, nobody's got a bigger, oh my gosh, story. And, oh, wow, you got back and you're still on the roster and you're healthy. And, oh, my gosh, incredible. Nobody has that story like DeMar Hamlin. But on the downside, like I said, he's not even playing. To me, that's disqualifying. Merely making a roster is not a launch the confetti, pop the cork moment. Baker Mayfield, he's played all season long. That's his pro. I guess the downside is he hasn't finished it up yet. I don't see a downside to call him Baker the comeback player of the year. I don't really see the downside there other than he hasn't done anything yet. He's got 2 games. He's got to win these games. He's got to take a number 1 team to the playoffs, and I think he'll punch his ticket. The upside to Flacco, where would the Browns be without him? I shudder to think, would we be looking up at the number 5 seed, hoping against all hope? Oh, I sure hope XYZ happens. Oh, man, we need the Texans to lose. We need the Colts to lose. Oh, if the Bengals don't beat the Steelers are – if we didn't have the last month of Flacco, I don't know what our record would be. Because Flacco has been the stabilizing force. He looks like a competent professional player. The best quarterback we've seen since Baker. By the way, I was making the point and I got sidetracked. I was just going to say, when Dirty Dan Sorensen hit Hollywood Higgins in the helmet against the Chiefs in a game that we could have won, if we got past the Bills, that would have set up, and I think that's where I went awry. I started talking about the NFL having a script, and then I got into gambling, and I forgot to wrap up my point. But here's how I wrap up my point. Remember the NFL did that awesome commercial where it was like there was a fumble? Remember that scene in the program? The running back fumbles. Is that Omar Epps that played the running back? That's the guy who looks like Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's that whole thing where the ball pops out and the coaches say, look, they gave him a football and tells his teammates, I want you to try to knock this ball out of his hands. He has to carry it around all day long at school. Every time you see him in class, you see him in the hallway, you punch that ball, you try to knock that ball out. And so help me if anybody brings me that ball other than you, you're done. Or gives him some sort of ultimatum or a threat. That was what that NFL commercial was like. It was like there was a fumble and everybody started diving for it and fighting for it and spinning for it, and the ball's just kind of getting bounced around. And you remember Tom Brady sitting there, and he takes off all of his rings and he puts them in his hand and he hands them to Baker. He's like, "Here, hold these." And Baker's like, it was the NFL literally passing the torch from Brady to Baker. That was the storyline. That was the script, if you believe in such things. And if the NFL would have just made the right call there, and if the Browns had a decent defense that year, we beat the Chiefs and could have easily beaten the Bills and played Tom Brady in that Super Bowl. Ifs and nuts, whatever. But it's just interesting to think about the what ifs. What if this, maybe that, different timelines, parallel dimensions. I don't know if you've ever had a potentially romantic encounter with somebody, but it's, one of you or both of you are in a committed relationship with somebody else. And it's like, another time, another place. Not recently, but I have had that happen on more than one occasion. You just have a spark with somebody and it's super obvious to them and to you. And in fact, in both of those cases, it was spoken out loud to, hey, there's an elephant in the room. Oh, yeah. Well, that's clear. And then you go your separate ways and you're like, another time, another place, in another dimension, in a parallel universe. I wonder if we get to run our life back again and we get to make a different choice. Like, what if you could have taken a different road that day and said, I'm going to go this direction? Like, everything would be different. The whole world would be different. So it's interesting to think about. But yeah, it's a fun game to play in sports. Like, what if the Browns could have done that? What if we got the Baker Brady Super Bowl? What if the Indians could have beat the Cubs up 3-1? What would have happened if the Cavs couldn't come back from a 3-1? It's just, you play the game. We also used to do this with Zach. I need to get Zach back on the program. But we would do NBA redraft. And it was pretty cool because you would go back 5 years and do a total redraft of that. And you go, wow, the Pistons were picking here. The Spurs were here. The Cavs were, I can't believe, and it just, in hindsight, it makes no sense. But, it's a silly game because under that system, in that city, with those teammates, you don't know how things would have reacted. You just assume Giannis would have developed into the Giannis we know today had he been in Indiana. Well, maybe not. Maybe he would have sat behind Roy Hibbert or, I don't know. I'm probably mixing my years up here, but it's a fun game to play. It's also pointless, but I do it anyway. And I do it all the time as a Browns. What if the fumble wouldn't have happened and Biner goes in for that touchdown? What if they called that field goal wide left instead of good? What if we had made it to that Super Bowl against the Redskins? What if Art Modell could have stayed? What if Delhi could have stopped Curry a couple more times and we would have won it in 2015? And then, of course, we win it in 2016. And then why would Durant even go to that loser team in Golden State? Maybe the Cavs get that four-peat. What's LeBron's legacy if he gets that four-peat? Very different than it is now. It's a team sport. Well, Jordan never lost. He's 6-0. It's just, but these are the debates we have. And it's what makes it fun. But so those are the pros and cons. Like I said, the con about Joe Flacco is just that he hasn't played a full season. He's only got 5 games under his belt. So that's his knock. But the best thing going for him is, number one, no team wanted him. He wanted to play. Nobody would give him a chance, even his previous team, the Jets. And he came back from that. He was ready when an injury showed the way. So that's huge. That is massive. That's exactly what you're looking for out of your comeback player of the year. Someone who, was given one more shot. What if the Rams didn't take a chance because of their injuries on Baker Mayfield? Would he even had the Tampa Bay chance? I don't know. Baker promptly goes out after 32 hours of learning, air quote, the playbook, going 99 yards with no touchdowns to win the game on a Thursday night game. That was epic, right? Would he have got that chance? I don't know. I mean, playing the what if game, but kind of lost in this. I just want to take a second and I want to talk about Kareem Hunt. Once again, this is another guy that had a very public, de-pantsing, a moment of shame. And if you watch the video, like there was some sort of altercation in the hallway, and I not to relitigate it, but it was on the footage that we saw. It was like he wound up to kick this person, and you could see he paused and stopped, and then kind of backed into a really lazy half side kick. It wasn't good, but I think had he gone with his reactionary moment, I think he was ready to drop kick that human, and I'm glad he didn't. Just like I'm glad that Miles didn't connect on swinging that helmet. It's like people have bad days. Does one bad day define you? And so Kareem had to go through that. You know what? I just talked myself into Kareem Hunt as comeback player of the year candidate. There's only 4 candidates. And I know it's Browns heavy, but come on. You want to say Joe Flacco came off the couch? Kareem Hunt came off the couch. Nobody wanted him. He's the former NFL rushing champion. Nobody wanted him. But because, unfortunately, the Nick Chubb injury opened the opportunity, the Browns re-signed him. And guess what? He now has the most rushing touchdowns of his entire career, from couch to setting season marks, for a team that desperately needed him, for his hometown team. And it's been what, since week 3 that Kareem's been doing this? So I guess still not even a full season. I guess he missed, the first 3 weeks, and then we haven't played the next week. So, I mean, what could his rushing numbers be in touchdowns had he played all of those games? I think Kareem Hunt should be in the discussion. I mean, who's been more valuable? Like, where do you go to MVP? Can we ease up on this Lamar Jackson crap? He's played very well this year. But there's no way he's a unanimous MVP or something. There's no way he's been more. You got McCaffrey. You got Flacco in that conversation. Who's been more valuable to their team? I know it's only been 5 games, so it's almost impossible to do. I don't know. Who else would you get? Would Myles Garrett get nods for most valuable player, not just best defensive player of the year? These are all silly things to talk about. Really, at the core of it is the fact that the Browns beat the Jets in an awesome day, an awesome moment where people got to build lifetime memories. The fans set a new franchise record. So we're 1 win away from tying our all-time wins record of 12. If we can beat Cincinnati in 17 days, it'll tie the Browns record of the I believe it's the Bernie Kosar led Browns of the mid-late 80s. I don't know, 88, 89. So let's go through the game real quick here. I mean, during the game, and Njoku, you can go through the stats. They'll tell you. He was on pace to maybe break Amari Cooper's receptions record. It all came in the first and second quarter. Really, it was a tale of 2 halves. I think players were interviewed after the game, and it was like everybody in the room was just like, after the first half, everyone just wanted it over. Like, can we just run this to 0-0 now, 0-0? Like, the game's over, and really, they did play like 2 different teams. But Njoku gets a 36-yarder to start off from Flacco. Jerome Ford played amazing yesterday. He got a great 10-yard first down pass. Another pass to Njoku. Then another toss to Ford from Flacco. Takes it to the pylon. Then he gets hit. Then he bends. Then he twists. And then he pushes in for a touchdown. Browns lead 7-0. This game started off kind of like a punch-counterpunch. And you went, oh, no, is it going to be one of these? Trevor Siemian had a nice toss to Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall had a nice big-time run. Then they kind of put Brees up and dragged him across the middle, hit him 4 yards out, and he took it 21 more yards for a 25-yard touchdown, pitch and catch, 7-7 tied. And you're going, I hope this is not a trap game. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in the stands. I wasn't worried, but I'm going, oh, no. I just want to win by 30. I just want this to be nice and comfortable. So Ford rips off a 17-yard run. Then another first down run. I mean, Ford was running like a man on a mission. Maybe just having Nick Chubb in the house, smashing the guitar, motivated him. Maybe the offensive line is having a couple more weeks to gel and work on their schemes. But he looked really good yesterday. Another pass from Flacco to Njoku. I mean, Njoku's turned into one of the best tight ends. I mean, they're saying the third best tight end in the league. Name me someone better. Yeah, Kittle and Kelsey. Take the 2 Ks away. Who else could be a better tight end? I mean, Kyle Pitts was drafted high, but he hasn't really turned into the dominant player that the Falcons hoped they were getting. Once again, it kind of comes down to the quarterback play that you have as well. But look, Njoku is working his way up, and it shows what a difference a competent quarterback makes. I know Deshaun Watson had one good game against the Titans this year. He had one excellent half against the Baltimore Ravens on the road with a broken shoulder, going 14-14, come from behind win. The current number 1 team in the AFC. By the way, the Browns can get that. But Deshaun Watson, it's like kind of gets the ball, checks read 1, checks read 2, and then he just kind of, now it's backyard football. I'm running around. I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to get injured. Like, I don't like his game. I like what Joe Flacco brings. I like kind of stand around the pot. You move around some, design fakes, fake handoff, play action. That's what Baker was so good at. Fake the handoff, and on the bootlegs, he was just at the top of the league. He was absolutely one of the best. It's a trademark of what Kevin Stefanski likes to do on offense. Absolutely. But Joe Flacco in general, it's just he looks different under center. He looks like somebody who's comfortable back there. You either look comfortable or you don't. And Flacco just looks comfortable. He has a command of that. I mean, I think you're getting the best version of a Kevin Stefanski offense that we've ever had. Like I said, that run with Baker, that first year that Stefanski was here, was fantastic. We really got robbed of that by that injury the next year and then shipped him out. It is what it is. I'm very on record explaining how I feel about that. But with a good quarterback like Flacco, an excellent quarterback like Flacco, look at how Njoku is thriving. Just look at what he's doing. So Njoku was going nuts in the first quarter. Another Njoku pass takes us to midfield, score tied 7-7. Then on 3rd and 12, Njoku takes it down to the 7. Caught it at the 48 and ran it all the way down to the 7. Look, talk about yards after catch. That sets up a 7-yard Kareem Hunt touchdown and push-up fest. But Browns missed the extra point. That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on, is this kicking game now. Kicking game has been like the most reliable thing about this team. Defense as well, but a couple hiccups throughout the season. But the kicking game has been just lights out, automatic, but now it's like 2 question marks back there. So we'll have to keep our eyes on it. Browns then take a 13-7 lead after missing that extra point. So our new kicker puts it down at the 2, and I like that. I commented at the time in the stadium like, well, this is good. This is what you want. Force them to catch it at the 2 and do something with it. Don't boot it out of the end zone. There's no skill in that. And what happened? Jets take it out. And man, the Browns special teams put a helmet on the ball, popped it up. Browns recovered it. Excellent field position right there. taken over with that possession and the takeaway. So the Browns had a couple giveaways, but we had a couple takeaways. So the Browns give it a shot there, and then on 4th and 4, this is a time where I heavily criticized Coach Stefanski. In an otherwise excellent game yesterday. This is a super curious, super stupid move. I get why maybe last week without a kicker and we didn't have it, like we didn't have a chance to practice our backup kicker. And okay, well, I guess we're going for it on 4th down. We're just going to keep going for it on 4th, right? Well, why? Why not give it to the kicker and get some confidence there? Get him seeing that ball going through the uprights. Instead, on 4th and 4, Flacco throws it out of the end zone. We got nothing there. Gave up the possession. Jets take over. I mean, it's a 13-7 game, and it's too close. Missed opportunity there. Uncharacteristic Browns defense giving up a touchdown, a fairly long touchdown drive. Far too close at 13-7. Very, not comfortable. And then Ronnie Hickman, give it up to the Browns brass. Andrew Berry and the team who found him undrafted out of The Ohio State University. The rookie defensive back gets an interception at the 30-yard line off of Trevor Siemian. He starts off going left and then cuts back right, goes all the way in for a touchdown. I mean, he looked like Jerome Ford on that return. Very good ball handling skills, very good interception return skills. It was a great return. Huge play for Ronnie Hickman. Ronnie Hickman wouldn't be playing if we didn't have all the injuries in our secondary. We make that extra point. It's 20-7. Then there's lots of dink and dunk underneath stuff all day long from Siemian. Like that was kind of his deal. But yeah, 20-7. Browns end up getting the ball back, and Jerome Ford was very slippery today. He was very determined. I really liked what I saw out of Jerome Ford. I did like what I saw out of Pierre Strong until he had a turnover, which is probably why he's not getting more carries. But with the Browns having a lead there, and Njoku with it gets another nice reception. Runs up the middle, more yards after catch, but then, I'm gonna critique Deshaun Watson running around too much in the backfield. I'm gonna critique all sorts of stuff as I see it when it's appropriate. I think it's cool. It makes the highlight reel. It shows how athletic you are. I get it. But this jumping over people thing with Njoku, I want it to stop. This is a catch. This is a run. And it's a run and a jump. And C.J. Mosley knocked the ball out. Another giveaway for the Browns. We have so many unforced errors. And I know somebody forced that, but so many turnovers. I want Njoku healthy. When you jump, you put everything at risk of landing weird, taking a shot to your ribs or a fumble. Like, just stop that. So anyway, nothing came of that. Browns are still up 20-7. Browns get the ball back. It was a lot of nothing for the Jets. They had a couple of moments, but it really was a lot of nothing for them. Browns get the ball back, and Elijah Moore on 3rd and 3. Flacco throws it, and the ball pops up. This really was the defensive back knocking the ball in the air. And then Elijah Moore kind of like popped it to himself and caught it. It could have been an interception, could have been an incomplete, but instead Elijah Moore got that. A great, really nice game from Elijah Moore. Scary concussion. He had some uncontrollable, like his extremities were moving, and he stayed in the hospital overnight. And they're just going to kind of play it day by day. Prayers for a healthy return from Elijah Moore against his former team as well, the Jets. Not just Flacco. Flacco and Elijah Moore both escaped New York. Wasn't that a movie with Kurt Russell? But that could have been a bad interception there. Flacco, that would have been bad on his record, but he got through it. Flacco then has a really nice long pass to Jordan Akins, a pass and run. Then Elijah Moore goes on an up and out near the pylon for a touchdown. It was the timing on it. I mean, the ball was thrown before Moore even made his cut. touchdown in the end zone. Browns go up 27-7. So the Browns leading 27-7, get the ball back again. But unfortunately, Jermaine Johnson on the Jets, that's Triple J right there. Triple J did a triple jump. Because Flacco was trying to do a dump off. I don't know who he was trying to dump it off to. Maybe Ford. Maybe a short one to his safety valve and Njoku. I'm not entirely certain, but he did a pump, but Johnson was there, and he jumped. And then Flacco did another pump as he was coming down, and then he went to dump it off. But, Johnson, as soon as he landed, he was back up again, and he almost caught it right there. He tipped it, then he did eventually catch it. Turn that into a pick six. Putting 7 more points on the board for the Jets. Doggone it. 27-14. So the Jets are still hanging around in this one. Still hanging around. Joe Flacco has a deep pass to Elijah Moore again near midfield. High pass. I remember talking about this last week against the Texans. Another high pass, but it was a quick, effortless to go to the peak, to the apex, to go up and snag it and bring it back down. You've seen it with Elijah Moore. You've seen it with Njoku. And I've heard several people say that Joe Flacco just throws a catchable ball. A very catchable ball. What does that mean? I don't know. Ask the guys catching it. But, he just went up for that high pass. As Browns fans for the past 20, 30 years, going back to 94, 95, how many times have you seen Browns players throw it, but it kind of sails on them and it leads to a wide open interception? But Flacco, when he goes high, it's catchable high. It's not mistake high for the most part. So really nice catch on that play. Moore had himself a good game until his injury. So in Flacco, he gets under heavy pressure, gets punched in the face by Quinnen Williams, by the way. Uncalled penalty. Just blasted in the face. Spins his neck around. Punch in the face, spins out of it. No sacco for Flacco. No sacco for Flacco. Because Flacco spins out of it, starts scrambling as if to run, and then dumps it off to Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford jukes, spins, cuts back, pauses, and then just barrels in for the touchdown. He absolutely would not be stopped on that touchdown. Browns go up 34-17. They're doubling them up. I think I saw Joe Flacco chest bumping Deshaun Watson on the sideline, or was that somebody else? If you can leave a comment, let me know. By the way, like the show, hit subscribe, do all the things, please. Leave your comments. Jets get the ball back on a drive late. Oh, yeah, sorry, I said 34-17, but that was after the Jets drove it late, kicking in a field goal, taking it from 27-14 to 34-14, then 34-17. And that's essentially where the game stayed. It ended up 34-20. There was a long drive by the Jets. They took it down to 3rd and goal, and then an almost Juan Thornhill interception in the end zone. Jets go to knock in a field goal, and that is blocked. Good job by the special teams with another block on a chip shot field goal. Pierre Strong then, Browns got the ball back, had a lot of trouble in the second half. Like I said, that was a good Jets defense, but it was really over in the first half. Over in the first quarter, over in the first half. And then it was really just all about running out the clock. Pierre Strong had some good running, but then he twisted into but he was ripped sideways and spun, and his leg was pinned underneath him. And it was a strange play, but you do have to hold on to the ball. Jets kick their field goal, whatever. It's 37-20. That's the end of it all. Browns win, Browns win, Browns win. So just an epic season. And our real season begins. This is the second season, and it starts today. Today's first day of the rest of our season. Damn, it feels good to be a gangsta, doesn't it? Sure does. So anyway, offer your thoughts on any of the points that I brought up. I love reading your comments. Follow us on Facebook at The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. On X, we're at The Unhappy Hour _. Spotify is our podcast, The Unhappy Hour. Follow us in all the places, would you? So signing out for everybody here in the New American Media, in the TNAM universe. I appreciate you. I love you. Go Browns. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Oh, before I sign out, remember, Baltimore needs to lose twice. Once the Dolphins beat Baltimore this week, we need the Dolphins to lose to the Bills. And then the Browns need to beat the Bengals. That's how the Browns get the 1 seed. That means a bye on week 1 so we can get healthy. That means that we play a home playoff game or 2. And the road to the Super Bowl runs through Cleveland. We got a great home field advantage there. There were a lot of false starts. Yeah, I mean, you saw that it was impacting. Myles Garrett and the crowd were impacting the Jets' offensive line. So, is it a shoe-in that we're going to get the first seed? No. I guess, we're on the outside looking in, but no, we're not. We have a legitimate shot, and what more could you ask for? If we would have told you about all these injuries and say, look, in the last game of the season, we still have a chance at the 1 seed, you would take that. So let's take it. Let's just be happy. Let's not worry about re-signing Flacco in the offseason or worry about will he be the starter? They can give it back to Deshaun. Let's just win the Super Bowl. Let's just win each week. We can only do what we can do, and we can focus on beating Cincinnati in the final week. And if the cards fall where they may, oh, man, there could be more football in Cleveland. That'd be so good for the fans. Come on, NFL. If it's in your script, rewrite your script. Make it happen. I want the Browns to either beat Baker and the Bucs in the Super Bowl or the Lions in the Super Bowl. Obviously, we got to get there first, and there's a lot of good competition in the AFC, of course, but I think we can play with anybody. So, all right, that's all I have to say. I appreciate you. I love you. Go Browns.